Hi, I'm Siofra Bradigan, and this is Siofra's Magic Alcove. So, somebody asked me to do a video about crossing over ghosts. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to approach that? So, let's see what we come up with, right? Thinking on my feet. First off, the way I cross over a ghost is I have the ability to open up a portal to the other side. I gained this ability doing that ritual in Texas with like 13 other people. We raised a heck of a lot of energy, and I used the top of the cone of that energy to pierce the veil between the worlds in order to open it up for those earthbound spirits that we were trying to help cross over. And certainly we had some spectacular results. Doesn't happen that way now. Doing that, for some reason, gave me the ability to just open up a portal whenever I needed one. And I don't think that that's something I can teach. I think that's something that people can maybe learn how to do, but everyone's going to find a different way of learning how to do that. So if you know how to open up a portal, you're already like, ahead. But if you don't, and you still want to cross over a spirit, I have some ideas. First of all, when you're dealing with a spirit that's stuck, the first thing you need to do is figure out why they're stuck. What is it that is keeping them here? And there's tons of different reasons. You're going to have to like be able to be an empath and empathize with them, get images and stuff from them so that you can help interpret what's going on. And the various things I have experienced so far are I don't know I'm dead and what the heck is going on. There's been a number of those. Or I died so suddenly I didn't notice, you know, that I died. So what are you talking about? um, I refuse to acknowledge the fact that I'm dead because it shouldn't have happened, and it really makes me mad. Um, I'm afraid to cross over because I think I'm going to go to hell. And a lot of times there's no good reason for someone to actually go to hell. I mean, if there was such a place, except in our imaginations. Um, and they just think because of things that were told to them when they were alive and they're afraid to move on. Um, I'm stuck here because this is where my body died and I can't seem to get out of the house. I've had that one. Um, and that's not an uncommon way to become earthbound, is that you die and there's no one around. And then as a spirit, you're worried, like, is someone going to find my body, or who's going to find my body? Are my loved ones going to know what happened to me? Um, and then just sticking with the body long enough that the ride is gone. The light came and went. You didn't take the opportunity to go into the light. So finding out why a person is stuck um, is kind of a good first step. If you can figure that out, then that can give you some kind of a handle on how to talk to them and and how to approach them. So say like with the young woman who was afraid to go to cross over because she thought she'd go to hell because she was a prostitute in life, and that was a sin. And sinful people go to hell. I explained to her that there's no judgment on the other side. It's not the way we think of it, and that the spirits that were there would be accepting her with love and want her to join them, and were waiting for her. And then she didn't want to go because she had made friends with another ghost. And so I said, I can cross you both over at the same time, and that's fine. That was a younger girl who was murdered as well, in the same location, I think. Um, so you have to use your mind, your brains, your heart. You have to work with where they're at. You cannot tell them to be in a different state than they are. It's not enough to just say, "Hey, you're dead, move on." That is an approach that may occasionally work, I suppose, but I've not used it, so I don't know how effective it would be in the field. If you can, if you can't open up a portal to the other side, you can still sort of call the spirits that are responsible or waiting for the person you're working with, the remains of the human soul that you have in front of you, and sort of make a general plea um, for them to attend and assist you and help this person to cross over. And so that is one way of doing it. You can also light a candle and decide that the candle flame is like the light and tell the spirit that the candle flame is the light after you've called the other spirits to come and try and help. And when you feel the energy of the person leave, when it goes like, and you feel a shift in the air, you can blow out the candle and that will close the portal. A lot of times people are worried about leaving open portals. But, if you're opening it for a specific purpose and you use something to do it with, like a candle flame, then blowing out the candle will close the portal and you visualize that the portal is closed. Let me think. So there's the ones that are angry for one reason or another or frustrated. And, don't get mad at them for being angry and frustrated because, they died and you didn't. And so you're in a better position than they are. And, sometimes the various reasons that they can be frustrated often include, especially if it's a known haunted location, for example, how many different groups of people have gone through previously and said that they were there to help and then didn't. I'm sure that there's a lot of really angry spirits out there at this point in these known haunted places where every ghost hunter on the planet wants to go through and see if they can catch something on an EVP. So, if that's why they're angry, understand where they're coming from, accept the state that they're in. Uh, they can often get frustrated in those circumstances. I had a couple of spirits get mad because I saw them, I heard them, and then I walked away and they thought I was never coming back. So I try to make sure if I'm finding them, I tell them that I plan on returning. I have one where I did that too, and I never was able to go back because it's a government building. So, it's not my fault, but oh well. They're probably mad at me at this point. But anyway, try not to read any personal insult into however it is they're feeling because they may never know who you are at all. You could be a proxy for someone else that was alive. And if we had a spirit of a woman who was murdered, we're pretty confident because I kept seeing blood all over the place. And she really didn't like men because it was a man who murdered her, and she wasn't clear enough to differentiate between one man and another man. So a man going into that situation and trying to cross her over probably wouldn't work well. So if you have something like that, sort of work with what's happening. And whenever I'm doing that kind of emotional work with a spirit, I always speak aloud, whether anyone understands what I'm getting or not. I always talk aloud anyway because it helps me focus the energy, and then it's like I'm saying this to the spirit, and then I'm feeling a response, and it's not uncommon for me to burst into tears when I'm helping them cross over. And like I said, calling on their loved ones that are already crossed over, or their spirit guides, or whoever it is that they're expecting. Try not to be religious about this because not every ghost is Christian or a witch or whatever. It's like whatever they were in life, in their belief systems, you need to work within that framework. You cannot change their framework. So when I met the spirit of the Native American that had been killed in battle a couple hundred years ago, I didn't question that. I mean, that was who he was. So I called on his spirits of his people that he was expecting to come and help him uh, find his way to the other side, to the right place, to get the rituals and the welcome that he was anticipating. And and I imagine if someone else had come in to do that, that was a Christian-oriented individual, that they would have been, using a Bible and holy water and telling them to leave or something because they were a heathen. I don't know. So our personal prejudices are something that's really we need to pay attention to and really need to focus on being clear and non-judgmental when it comes to working with ghosts. Um, Now, if you don't feel ready to do this, then don't do it, and that's perfectly fine. You're not obligated to. Since I was given that ability to open up the portal and see them so clearly and feel them so well, I do this because I consider it my spiritual obligation because I'm helping them get where they need to be. And sometimes, like you see the question on the paranormal groups, have you ever, met a spirit that didn't want to cross over and what did you do? I've never had that happen to me. I think that's likely to happen to any number of people because, I mean, the reason I don't think it's happened to me is because first I work with their emotional state and help them process where they're at to help clear that out, the thing that's holding them down, keeping them here. Second, I open up the portal so they can actually see what's on the other side. They can see that light. And once they see that and they see their family or their pets or the place they, dreamt about when they were alive or an ancestral home or whatever it happens to be, they have no reason to stay. They're drawn to that location, they're drawn to that energy, and they're drawn to the feeling that it exudes, the feeling of peace and calmness and love and acceptance and home that they get. And so, seeing that, why would they stay? There would be no compelling reason for them to stay. So I think that part of that has to do with the ability of the people that are trying to help. And I won't do an investigation in a location where the people who own the property are trying to get proof that they're haunted so that they can market it for business opportunities and, to get ghost hunters to come and check out their place and whatnot, or give ghost tours or what have you. Because I've met some people that are like that, and I've met a few people who say, I want to know that the ghost is there, but I don't want you to cross it over because I like having it around. And my attitude is, I'm sorry. This is not, this is a human spirit. This is not something for you to keep around like a pet. How would you feel if this was like your grandchild or your great great grandmother or someone like that, and someone else had their soul captive in a jar and was showing it off to everybody and selling it on the internet or whatever? How would you feel about that? And for me, that is not an okay thing to do. Um, so I just won't go there. I'm like, if I go and I open up a portal and they want to cross over, we're going to cross them over. If you really don't want them to cross over, don't have me go. So that's that. Think if there's anything else. When I find spirits that aren't human, this is just human spirits we're talking about now, from up to this point. When I go into a location, I find like nature spirits that are trapped underneath the bed, which is a very common place for them to be stuck, especially in a child's room, because they're attracted to children. If I find a spirit that's out of place, a nature spirit that doesn't belong inside of a house and whose presence is causing trouble for the people who live there, then what I do is I show the spirit the way out. I usually use selenite, and as I have a selenite wand that I use, and I put the light on the ground and I talk to the spirit as if it were a living being and often childlike. and say, well, what are you doing here? You know, you're not supposed to be here. This isn't a good place for you. Let me show you how to get back outside where you belong. And they'll follow along and go back where they belong. It's like displaced in the wrong environment. And things that are in the wrong environment are often scared and confused. They don't know what's happening. They may lash out. They may make a lot of noise when they're trying to escape, especially when everything is quiet. I mean, there's a lot of potential things that people have interpreted as being like poltergeist like activity or whatever. They could just be a scared little nature spirit trying to figure out how the heck to get out of this house. So, compassion is probably the most important aspect of this, I think. You have a good, compassionate heart and you're genuinely trying to assist. And I've never had to threaten a ghost, a human ghost, or a regular spirit ghost, a spirit of some kind that's not human. So far, I'm not saying there may not be a time when I have to do that. I certainly had that happen when I was younger and I had that thing trying to take over my body. And even there, I didn't threaten it. I just said, you can't do that because my will is stronger than yours. So you're going to have to leave. This is not happening. And that's not the same. That's not threatening. That's stating a fact. And if the fact is immutable, then they have no way to argue. So, um, yeah, being in touch with your natural authority is definitely important. And how you treat the lost spirits that are around, the universe notices that a lot. I mean, if you're mean to them, the universe is not liking you. It's kind of a deal breaker, I think. So, anyway, I think that's about all I can come up with at this point as far as that goes. So, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. Blessed be.